She is a conservative, she is a Christian, and we are so thankful and feel very honored to have the Honorable Congresswoman Virginia Foxx with us today.
Well, I am absolutely delighted to be with you all today, and I want to say that my remarks are going to be fairly short because I agree with Major Getz that song by Mr. Tilley was so wonderful, and it really does say it all. But he gave you a wonderful lesson in how we should be behaving in our country, and how we should hold our elected officials accountable. And I agree with all of the things he said, and I agree with what Steve Wiles has said about making sure that we do hold our officials accountable. And I'm happy to be held accountable for my votes and my actions in Congress. And I want to say that we have let things get out of control of the people. And it is very, very unfortunate that that has happened. It hasn't, and it's happened in a fairly relatively short time, believe me. It really has gone downhill pretty quickly. But thankfully, people have awakened to what has been happening. And it's not too late. It is not too late. I do believe that God has given us an opportunity in this country to be like what God has described in the Bible, a shining light on the hill, to other people. And I think we have a special responsibility in this country to be that shining light and to bring freedom to the rest of the world and to explain to people that freedom does come from God. We have to remind people all the time that the Constitution is a check on the control and power of the government. It is really important that we point that out. You know, our Constitution is a very short document. If you type it out double-spaced like you would a term paper, it's only about 18 pages long, but it stood us in good stead for over 200 years. Constitutions of many other countries are thousands of pages long because they're outlining the rights of the people. We're controlling the government. And that we don't need a long document to issue controls on the government. That's why our document doesn't need to be very, very long. But I do want to say to you that I think, again, also that we're at a critical time in our country. I really believe that this is the most important election of our lifetimes. And I do think that we have important responsibilities. Those of us who understand this and those who have not been lulled into complacency by the actions of the government and by false teachings about what it is we're supposed to be about. And I hope that you're going to do the kinds of things that have been mentioned here today. You're going to take the responsibility to understand who's running for office, support those who are living by the principles that we believe in, the values that we believe in, and go out and educate other people. You know, I answer all my own mail. I read my mail, and I answer it. I spend long hours every night reading my mail and answering it. And I have a lot of people who write me kind of unfriendly letters sometimes saying, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And I'll tell them, I'm doing my part. I really am. I work hard every day. I'm there. I vote the right way. But every citizen of this country has a responsibility. They really do have a responsibility to help educate other people. So I want to encourage you to do that. I'm just going to add a couple of comments to what Major Getz was talking about. I want to tell you, and I'm sure most of you know this, but if you have not discovered somebody named David Barton, I hope you will check out David Barton. He has an organization called Wall Builders, and David does a fantastic job of explaining the biblical origins of our country, the Judeo-Christian origins of this country. And David does a wonderful thing. 2, 3, 4 times a year, he comes to Washington, D.C., and he gives tours for pastors of the Capitol. I've been able a couple of times to go on those tours because we as members have to be there when David does these tours, because after hours, only members are supposed to be giving tours in the Congress. But if we're there with David, we make his role official. He does the speaking and he does the teaching, but we're there with him. So I hope you will look up David Barton and Wall Builders. But he will point out to the people who are there that the Capitol was the largest church in Washington, D.C. for many, many years. 3 different congregations celebrated in the Capitol, and he points that out. And when I have people there, and I love doing tours of the Capitol also, and when I have people in the House gallery or on the House floor, if I'm able to take people on the House floor, I point out to them that around the top of the chamber are profiles of ancient lawgivers. There are Greeks, Romans, Frenchmen, Turks, lots of people there. And they're all profiles except one. And there's one full-face figure. It's over the center door of the Capitol, over the aisle where the president walks down to do the State of the Union address, and is looking straight on the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And that's Moses. And I point out to people that's the only full-face figure, and he's there watching us. And that chamber was remodeled in the early 1950s. So this doesn't just come from the beginning of our country. That was done in the 1950s, when we still really, really celebrated our Judeo-Christian heritage. And I had some people in Washington just this week, and we were over in the Senate chamber. And over the middle door in the Senate chamber, it says, "In God we trust." And over to the left of that door, there's a Latin saying. It took me a long time to remember to find out what that saying was. After I leave, I'm only ever able to be there at night when the Senate's not in office. But I can't say it in Latin because I never learned Latin, but it says, "God blesses our work." So we have everywhere in the Capitol the evidence of our Judeo-Christian heritage. And I, along with the other people who've spoken today, share a deep concern for the future, share a deep concern for this election this fall, and will say to you again, it is the most important election of our lifetimes. And then the other comment that I always make when I speak, particularly to school children, that I want to say to you, and again emphasize what other comments have been made. And some of you are wearing a pin today with the big words, "We the people," on them. I tell people when I talk about the Constitution, those are the 3 most important words, in my opinion, outside the Bible. Because our country belongs to we the people. Now again, many of us have been asleep. Many people have let things happen that shouldn't have happened. And it isn't just at the national level. Pastor Robertson pointed out, we can have some ridiculous rules that exist at the local and state level too. And it's because we've been complacent about letting those rules go into effect. So I want you to be paying attention at all levels, because it does happen. And again, make sure that you help educate other people. And when people write me again, and they write me, and they're not happy because I'm not doing enough, well, You know, the Lord, I tell everybody, I sleep about 6 hours a night. I work 18 hours a day. But the Lord's blessed me with lots of energy. But I tell people, other folks have that responsibility to do things. Register to vote, get other people registered to vote, get them out to vote, but most importantly, get them educated, okay? Educated about what we should be doing, what we should know, what we should support. I'm also going to run away because I have lots of activities planned for today. We're in Washington generally Monday through Friday, so I have to cram a lot of activities in on the weekends. But I want to thank all of you for being here. I particularly want to thank Steve Wiles for organizing this and all the people who have helped him. And I hope again that you are going to take the messages away from here, that God has given us all a responsibility. If we're going to maintain this country, it is going to be a shining light on the hill. If we're going to continue to get God's blessings for the things that we do, we have a responsibility to do those. My prayer every day to God is that He'll give me wisdom and discernment. I pray that constantly throughout the day to do the things that I need to do. And He, as I said, He's blessed me so far with the energy that I need to do what I do. And I hope I will continue to have that. And I just pray that God will guide me in all that I do and will guide me to know what are the things I should be doing that will promote His will. Because I do think that's what we're all there for. Thank you. May God continue to bless all of you as He has blessed us. And may He continue to bless this great nation. And I hope that everybody will remember to give God the blessing and the glory. Thank you.